Marcus.
Yes, hello there. I'm trying to get a hold of someone that basically replaced Robert Mosby. I think that was Steve Ciccione.
Steve Ciccione.
Oh, Ciccione. My apologies. Is he still the guy? Is he still working there, Steve?
He is, yep.
Is he available? Can I talk to him?
I'm not sure. They're in a completely different department. So this is the zoning department that you've contacted.
Aha. Okay, so
I could transfer you over to his line.
Okay, real quick. Robert Mosby, he was a chief construction inspector. Is that who
Correct.
Steve Ciccione or Ciccione is? Ciccione?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So is that on the engineering side of things versus like zoning, or is that
Yes,
just?
that is correct.
Okay, so there's specifically. Okay, so is zoning on the same level as engineering, kind of underneath the city manager, or is zoning like a subset of engineering or something like that? Like, do you guys have your own supervisor
part of the
as well?
building and planning department.
Okay, so building and planning department. That's 281 in general.
Yeah, we're all in the same building.
Okay. Is there somebody that is similar in position to Steve as there is on the zoning side? Is there like a supervisor?
Yeah. Was this a question about an address or?
Well, just trying to get in touch with the right
chart?
With the right person. That basically, I had a very large issue that I was dealing with Robert Mosby back in the day, and trying to follow up with him, but obviously he's not with us anymore. But basically, it's over the east side of Safeway issue there. You know how it's been filled in with rocks since. Obviously, there was the minor amendment that went through for it, but there weren't any permits for the fences that went up before the amendment and right before they started working on it and stuff. So, in a nutshell, I'm trying to get somebody in either the zoning or the engineering department to basically send a copy of this email to the judge in courtroom, I believe 1A, basically Matthew Zahe. He is the judge who signed off on a warrantless arrest affidavit. Basically, he rubber stamped a faulty warrant that an officer of the police department, Fort Collins Police, pushed. Basically, this fence went up in the right-of-way, this chain link fence a long time ago, last year, and it was illegally put up in the right-of-way, and I was the one who sent the takedown notice. We got it triggered. Robert Mosby was kind enough to have a surveyor, get sent out and whatnot. So he gave me a copy of this email. I provided a copy of this email to this officer that night, who was charging me with trespassing on private property. So it was kind of a sting. We had a lot more information than them, and so they ended up leaving all of the information out that we mentioned to them that night. We mentioned right-of-way, city docks, plats, Robinson Pearsall project, 100-foot, and then I definitely gave him a copy of this email, and the email made it into the police report. However, it did not make it into the warrantless arrest affidavit. It's not mentioned anywhere in there. And so, I can go, and I'm going to do the regular route, as I always do for all my other cases, of just motions to dismiss for lack of probable cause. An officer, should be knowing better. He should be able to issue his own 2384 and so forth. But these officers didn't know the definition of right-of-way. That's 1742, by the way. They didn't know how 2384, and so forth. But basically, this warrantless arrest affidavit is a 100% fraudulent document. It contains 0% actual factual evidence of proof of anything. Basically, someone's calling the right-of-way 460. And so I figured an easy way to start closing the gap here is basically I can send this email to him myself. I sent a copy of this email to the DA in 4C that's currently taking the case of trespassing, and he hasn't done anything with it. And so I feel like that's I don't want to say the word like racketeering activities, but these people are going to do whatever they can to not get caught or not, get exposed. And so basically, there was no issue that night. There's no controversy. And so this Matthew Zahe guy, I think if someone were to inform him that he didn't get a complete story that night in his affidavit, if someone were to give him a copy of this email, I think he would be pretty concerned. He might reverse the entire thing, which he should.
I'm going to try to clarify here.
Yeah.
You're asking me to get an email that was sent to you?
Okay, so this email chain is my brother and I just simply got a copy of it. It's what happened between Robert Mosby and Eric Holsapple. It was long before the fence went up, it started with the fence going up. But this email, it was a chain. It was quite extensive. It was like maybe 15 conversations back and forth. It was very obvious that this was a 2384 violation throughout this email. The email itself, the email chain itself that Rob sent was in effect a 2384. Excuse me.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay,
so,
real quick. A fence that goes up.
That you're telling me don't really have any meaning unless it's a land use code definition.
Yeah.
They're not at all.
Real quick, just so we speak in the same language, 2384 is a fence permit violation. A fence that goes up illegally in the right-of-way happens to be under the municipal code under 23-84. That's what Robert Mosby sent for the fence that illegally went up in the right-of-way. That's all it is. And it's on your guys' side, down at the first level floor, you have like a...
I'm not entirely sure how...
Well, you guys just have a...
I can help you. I wouldn't have access to other people's emails. It sounds like you have a copy of the string that you were included on, right?
Yeah, I was never CC'd or anything. Robert Mosby just simply printed off a copy of it, and he notarized it. So I have my original copy, but I figured since it's like public-ish record, or it's not so much that, it's more of a reputation thing. Me being a pro se pauper attorney, I'm forced to otherwise do everybody else's work, and I feel like this entire situation, the entire reason why I jumped the fence was so that there could be some congruency or some sort of collective organizational of thoughts. Basically, people aren't talking to each other. The police department's not. I'll let you in on a really quick insight. That 460 South College address on the police side, I've looked up and spoken with the dispatch, and they have all considered that to be private property for who knows how long, basically several years. And the dispatch has been taking calls there, fielding them, and the police have been fielding them as 460. And effectively, like security guards move people from that property all the time. There's this no loitering, please take action sign that's above this fence, this bench area. Basically, everyone thinks it's private property, and so I jumped this fence one day to kind of prove a point that it's very obviously public. And this email chain is very much so proof that's on your guys' side, that you already sent out a surveyor and things like that. And so I'm just trying to get someone from your department. Like if Rob still worked there, I would basically say, hey Rob, you want to go talk to Zehe? I finally found out the judge that signed off on this affidavit. Basically the judge didn't have any recollection of, the judge was never told about this email. It was left out of the affidavit. And so I could send the judge the letter myself, but then it's the equivalent of me having to pretty much go through the entire motions of putting motion to dismiss. And I already kind of talked to the city attorney, the district attorney, Bob Persifield of Courtroom 4C, my contact. I tried to talk to Zehe, their department directly. They say, you have to go through yours now, the 4C. And so basically, it's always all going to be on me, and I'm going to subpoena anybody that I need. I can subpoena Rob and so forth and so on. But basically, this was sort of like it's kind of like a secret shopper, kind of like a prank, a sting, but it's serious, but it's real. And so it's something as simple as if Matthew Zehe, this judge in 1A, if he were to get a hold of this email chain or simply have a conversation with someone from the zoning department, he would be very caught up to speed very quickly because he
wants to talk to somebody in zoning.
Yeah.
If he talked to me, I would have no idea about any of this, and I couldn't answer any questions for him.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think I got a little mixed up here.
I don't.
Rob must have sent out somebody from zoning or a surveyor, or no, that's the survey department. That's John Vanita. But I thought there might have been the chain of command, someone in zoning that could take over this, but I guess the Steve is purely engineering, and that's going to be more, I guess, I guess I'll pick up with them from where I guess I left off. I guess I was working with Rick Richter at one point in time, and I thought he was with zoning, I guess. Maybe that's where I got mixed up.
He is with the engineering department.
Oh, okay. So Rick. Okay, so.
So anytime you deal with anything in the right of way, it's engineering.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So zoning, you guys would never even really do anything with that whole east side of Safeway.
Our private property is what we deal with. When it goes into the right of way, then that's engineering that deals with that.
Okay, I'm still learning, so this is cool. So from your take, real quick, do you know anything about that east side of Safeway? I always like to ask each department just if they've ever heard anything, or you know.
The only thing I've ever heard of is last time you came in and talked to me about it.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
Which
I believe.
I am still just as confused about the whole situation as I was then.
Okay, well that's okay. Well, if I may just summarize, just to get this out, it's I've been trying to explain this to everybody so that everyone's kind of on the same page. But basically, all of the parcels or like in the town are all by blocks, and then like that's how the county sells out their land, and then there's parcels, and so you can go like to larimercounty.org/lil, so you can see their maps there. But then obviously you guys have your city plat. So you guys taught me that you go to the original town plat, search that on the city docs. It's like 143 years old. Most of the streets are 100 feet wide. Some of them are vacated to 70 feet, like Jefferson Street, stuff like that. So basically, though, there's a problem in the police force that my brother and I have caught with other cases, like with the Linden Street sidewalk and some other issues with maps, that basically they don't know and don't use maps all the time, and they don't know the definitions of certain things. And so, real quickly, the one definition that everybody is stumbling on is just, it's in the municipal code, it's 17-42, and that's just the definition of right-of-way. And so the police effectively only believe that, and we've had this argument with them, that they believe only that the street and the sidewalk are otherwise right-of-way. But the definition of right-of-way includes gutters and any public way, basically. And so this bench area has been what we found out to be a controversy, kind of like what we call a black hole or like a sweep spot. We find out that people have been illegally ticketing people there for years, basically calling that private property for years because they've been kind of taking on the previous person's tickets, like so the previous police officers that ever ticketed people there, dispatch anybody that's called things out. It's like just like a wrinkle, it's strange. And so we're trying to bend back the layers of time here. We're trying to get dispatch on the same page of engineering, as well as now the county, the DA's office. And so no one wants to believe us that it's just a standard 100-foot right-of-way. I mean, you could go out there, walk it with your feet, but you guys were, like I said, kind enough to actually get a surveyor sent out. And so we're trying to get the surveyor to understand that, that I had given his survey and that email, this takedown notice. I gave them that to the police that night, and I gave it to the DA's office too, and I've given it to everybody. And so, but no one wants to kind of, believe or move forward and basically drop the case. That there's no controversy. I never jumped into any private property. That I was allowed to be behind this fenced area because this fenced area had no permit, and that's basically there's two types of trespassing tickets that you can issue. One's for private property trespassing. One's for being behind a fence that's that's up in the right of way that has a permit. And so you just have to write your tickets right. And so I got written this is a 460 South College ticket, and so they're trying to get away with otherwise calling that 460. And the ultimate crime here that I'm trying to explain to everybody is that Eric Holsapple, the business owner that put up that fence illegally, is otherwise getting away with his crime of stealing federal land. Meaning the police aren't able to issue that ticket of a 2384 like Rob did, because they're already kind of jumped the gun and they're already going down this path of seeing me behind a fence, and they had just felt like they had to get me for trespassing. And so it's just basically a really, really big secret shopping experience. And so I'm just trying to get as many people in the city to see that what the other side of the city is doing. And basically, ultimately, the police are trying to undermine you guys, or overthrow or overrule basically the city departments. They're trying to get away with thinking that they can call that private property. Kind of like in this other case, they're trying to get away with thinking that the Linden Street sidewalk is a private property too, or is part of that Jefferson Park Basically they got a map for the Parks Department in a different case, and it was wrong, and they weren't supposed to do that either. And so basically the big departments, the zoning, the GIS, the real estate, and the survey department, all you guys that do real jobs, that have really important actual facts that you deal with every day with maps and stuff, all that is being totally just completely thrown out the window with this case, for instance, where cops are trying to get away with saying, oh, they thought it could be 460, and it's like it's backwards. A cop is supposed to start with a map and then go from there and go to court and say that William was on private property. But here it's like they think it's up for debate. They think that they can have a judge rule on if that's private property or public or not, and it's, you guys already sent your own surveyor out, so the whole thing's over before it began. And the whole point is that the Judge Zahi rubber stamped a document that was didn't have all the information in it, and then the judges or the DA's office took the charges. They all kind of rubber stamped it too. And so if you look at the actual document itself, it's 100% fraudulent. It has a 0% accuracy to it, because your guys' survey department is, already did all the work, and so I was trying to give him the copy of this, takedown notice. I'm not going to do it the nice way, because I'm in this other issue with cops of them getting away with taking people's information before they know how to do their own jobs. And so I could have given them the copy of this email right before I jumped the fence, but I gave it to them after I jumped the fence. But after I jumped the fence, they were already going down the path of private property trespassing, and basically they left out everything that I mentioned to them in this police report they made. And so they falsified a bunch of information, and now they've attempted to influence not only that warrantless arrest affidavit judge and the DA's office, but I've actually talked to Internal Affairs now, and they themselves say, oh, they would write this ticket. And it's like, no, you guys are all ratifying like this imaginary private property non-land that Eric Holsap will put a fence around. You can't call that private property. It's big no. So there you go. I'm sorry I had to lay so much on you. But my brother and I are still in this a year later, and we've talked to many people, and so we're genuinely worried that there's not enough communication on your guys' side to light a fire, to get worried about these things. But ultimately, that's why I'm trying to say is that these cops are trying to get away with not knowing their jobs, and ultimately they're ratifying strange things like the ability to call this area, this bench area, private property. And so if they go to court over it, and that's what they're going to try and put on the stand is we think it's private property and this and that, and it's like, you can't do that because you guys didn't use any maps. You didn't use your patrol maps or plats or anything like that. And I tried to give the opposite information, and I'll totally go to court. And it's like a lot of these other cases my brother and I get. It's pretty slam dunk. When you go to court, we're gonna subpoena Rob if we have to, or anybody else, but we don't really want to, because we don't want to take up your guys' time or anything. Honestly, it was kind of a joke, but it's not a joke. And so if we can get someone in your guys' department, or if the engineering doesn't or whatever, if nobody wants to do anything about it, then in court it'll get dealt with the ugliest of all ways. But I don't think it has to go that far. I think it's a great learning experience for everybody. And so I don't mean to fill you in because you're just on zoning, but it has been a pretty hot issue that I think everyone should know about. City Council doesn't really know what's going on either. They got left out of the equation there. There's a lot of emails with them where they don't really know what's going on either. And so far, you are the farthest person in this investigation that I've been able to get this much information to, technically speaking. I know you can't do anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure that any of that information.
Oh yeah, I know you can't.
Pertains to anything that I do. So,
I know you totally have.
I deal with if you're going to construct something on the private property, if there's anything built that's against the land use code, I can enforce on. If you're looking to develop, we enforce based off the land use code. Everything you're talking about is municipal code that's going to be enforced on the engineering side through the right-of-way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. No, it's it's amazing.
When the building department is involved, the only thing we would be involved with is part of a minor amendment, which is a planning process of redeveloping something.
Yeah, which they
So
put
the
a minor
redevelopment
amendment
of
in,
that
and it
we
was
would be
passed, and that was
involved
it.
with.
So,
As far as the right-of-way portion of that minor amendment, again, that's going to be the engineering department that would take care of that.
yeah, oh yeah, no, exactly. That's all given. The Let's just put it this way: the police were just concerned that they've undermined the zoning department by not respecting the minor amendment process that we tried to explain to them. And so we're just getting you guys into the loop that you may not be affected, but the cops are trying to basically, undermine you guys. We think that's really bad. So, you personally, I don't think would have to really do anything about this. I just like to inform the different departments as best as I can. Your department, basically, undermining your department. As my brother is trying to formulate the words here for. So, but yeah. We know what to do with regards to the right departments. I just wanted to get in touch with someone like Rick Richter. I thought he was zoning, so my apologies. But nevertheless, I guess in general, I wanted to let you guys know because there are other places like. I'll get the information to you guys eventually. We have a lot of these cases, but there's other places where private property has been misidentified and miscalled public property through police illegal tickets as well for other spots. So, basically, the zoning and the engineering and the real estate and the GIS, all those departments are kind of equally not being talked with by the police. Police are just running around and just totally picking people up and then like reverse issuing tickets, and so we're just really concerned. And so thanks for listening. We're really sorry. We know there's probably not too much that zoning could do. It makes perfect sense now. We'll keep going down the engineering side, but nevertheless, I would really hate for you guys to be continuing to be in the dark in general. I think your police are undermining you guys, and you guys should be really pissed about that. So get pissed. I'm just kidding, but seriously, I would think about that for a while. But I really appreciate it. Sorry for the trouble here.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.